Because we couldn't possibly think about ourselves without connecting with the feet, let's send a bit of thought, a bit of brain down to the feet. A bit of lengthening through the calf, down through the Achilles to the heel bone. A bit of lengthening from the heel bone out through the little toes. And a bit of widening across the base of the toes, the ball of the foot. Planted feet. Leaving your feet planted, just let your pelvis and your legs just rock a little bit left and right. So just to ease the back, ease the body. It's a morning class, and so it's probably a good idea just to ease yourself in gently to anything. And letting the legs move, rock from side to side, letting the pelvis move from side to side is a really nice way just to wake everything up. The lower back has to move then. There's sort of an elasticity through the sides of your waist. That connection of tissue and muscle around the lower part of your ribs, the floating ribs, even coming up into the costal arch becomes apparent. Make sure you're not gripping through the abdomen, but letting that elasticity be there. Not gripping through the small of the back or the sides of the waist. And as you're rocking your legs and hips from side to side, just gently, you can start to ask for the tops of the thighs to undo a bit as well. Just again, checking we're not gripping. Everything easy. And then when you bringing your legs back to stillness, find again that depth. Know where the sacrum bone is, that big triangular bone at the back of your pelvis. Know where the pubic bone is. Actually, it's a sort of a peculiar arrangement of two bones held together with cartilage. Know where your upper spine is, those resting shoulder blades. And imagine a great cavernous depth between that and your breastbone. You're going to pick a leg, and I don't mind which leg it is. One leg in a moment is going to come up and the foot will rest on the other knee. But what I'm interested in is knowing which leg's going to move. So that wants to be let go of in the hip and released and free. The other foot, the other leg that's going to be staying where it is, you're going to keep some of your brain there, keeping it planted, using it as your support. Keeping the support coming through the leg into the back. And in your own time, the leg that's moving, fold it in towards you. Knee in towards chest. Send the knee out away from the midline, opening in the hip. And place that foot or ankle on your opposite knee. And feel free to then, if you need to, shuffle your supporting foot to find somewhere where it does feel very easy and balanced and supported. So I had my feet quite wide, so I've readjusted my supporting leg so that though that unit now that I've created of legs feels quite easy, quite comfortable. And if someone came along and sort of knocked them left or right, they'd sort of wobble a bit, but they wouldn't end up falling over. And I love this position. I think it's really useful because I think we can let go especially well through the leg that's raised, the more raised leg, the thigh, around that kneecap, freeing it off. Asking for length from the raised kneecap all the way through the inner thigh, through the groin, to the back of the pelvis, a length from the outer edge of the kneecap. the tops of the thighs, the back of the thigh, the back of the knee. And then I want you to be aware of the waist on the opposite side of that. So if your right knee is the one that's been raised up or folded up, you're thinking of the left side of your waist and vice versa. So you're thinking the knee away from its opposite hip or its opposite side of waist, opposite ribs. There's a diagonal release. And the belly needs to soften and the back can widen. And then you're going to let that unit of legs kind of rock a little bit. Just the supporting leg, the foot stays there. And the legs are kind of rocking a bit. And at a point that feels fairly straightforward, you send the knee in the direction that it's pointing and unfold the leg. Back on the floor. Back to normal feet, parallel feet. Pelvis resting. And then now this foot is the supporting foot, so we know where that is. We're letting it be placed on the ground. With intention. And that support is coming up through that foot. It's coming all the way through the knee. It's coming up through the thigh and into the pelvis, into the back. It's like an energy, a flow. And using that supportive energy, using that supportive foot, we'll draw in the other knee now. Folding the knee in towards your chest. Mindfully. Allowing the knee to fall away out from the midline, so that it becomes easier to place that other foot now on your knee. And I say foot, but it might be the ankle, it might be your sort of lower leg, whatever feels comfortable. I tend to find that there's a sort of a notch just under my ankle bone that fits perfectly on my opposite knee and feels quite easy, quite comfortable. If you need to adjust that supporting leg, find a balance, find some ease, feel free. And then ask yourself what happened. What happened in your body as that movement was created? Did you lose some of your depth in the pelvis? Was there a gripping in the groin that needs releasing? Have you inadvertently stopped breathing? How are your lower ribs? Are they still moving freely? Finding a little bit of awareness now with the knee of the raised leg, ungripping around that kneecap so that the thigh muscles and connective tissue can all lengthen, releasing, not holding. Perhaps letting go at the back of the knee so the hamstrings can lengthen down to the sit bone, or releasing through the inside inner thigh so that the groin can soften. And again, something can widen across the front of the pelvis. I mean, you can also allow the sit bones to fall away, falling away from the backs of the knees to create that length, that ease. And then in your mind, just using your directed thought, become aware of the diagonal release as you're thinking out through that raised knee in opposition to the other hip. Like an opposing force from the ribs on the opposite side of the knee. So for me, I've got my left knee raised, so I'm thinking of releasing the right hand ribs, side of the waist, maybe even the shoulder. Have a little rock of the legs, just letting them ease from side to side, giving up a bit through the belly, finding the deeper support. It's closer to the front of your spine. It's broader than one particular place. Pelvis rocks, legs rock. Just allow the body, allow the lower back ribs to drop back into width as you're breathing easy. And at a time that feels good to you, you send that knee away off out to the side and unfold the leg and place the foot back on the floor. And have a little rock and roll so that the pelvis feels really comfortable. Place your feet somewhere that feels really good to you. And we're not going to be doing anything with our legs for a moment, but we certainly don't want them going to sleep. They're going to be resting in awareness.